The recent tweets and comments Jordan Peterson made about the transgender community, particularly actor Elliot Page, has landed him in hot water. But the 12 Rules of Life author hasn't been quite himself these past couple of years, especially after waking up from a 9-day coma. Still, there are plenty of people who still believe in him. But what do they love about the U of T professor? Starting with his ability to articulate what we can't express. Despite his recent comments, which were totally uncalled for, one thing that has always worked for Jordan is his ability to verbalize what others are feeling. His audience consists of confused and struggling individuals who look up to the intellectual for guidance. If there's one thing Peterson understands, it's the complex emotions young individuals, particularly men, go through. His message of "take responsibility for yourself" has resonated with thousands of young men around the world. Starting with simple and easy things such as cleaning your own room, he makes sure to address difficult things in easy-to-follow steps. And honestly, that's understandable. After all, the toughest thing to do when you're depressed is getting yourself to do even the simplest things, like folding your laundry, making food, or even making your bed. But it seems like Jordan understands these things and addresses these issues without telling his followers to let things go. Instead, he encourages them to start small, but take on their inner demons with all their might. Next, he understands different points of view. While this may seem ironic right now, given his feud with Twitter, this is one of the reasons millions of people have come to love the man. He's a multifaceted personality that makes him interesting. His traits are matched on both ideological sides, and he is charismatic in presenting his subject matter. He's also fair-minded. He said he thinks the liberal attacks on our institutions and society are necessary for their growth, so he can peacefully disagree on things, but still see their merits and when they spin out of control. One thing that makes Jordan Peterson stand out is that he invites different schools of thought to have healthy debates with. But at the same time, he never fails to communicate his own ideologies. And the man doesn't go back on his word either. Even if others disagree with him, he still stands his ground, unless he is proven wrong. And while some might think of this as stubbornness, others admire this quality. Personally, we believe it's a good thing to stand by your principles. Unless, of course, you're in the wrong and don't want to acknowledge that. We've all struggled with this problem, confused as to where we stand in our beliefs, and Peterson seems to understand that problem very well. In all honesty, that's pretty admirable, to be able to hold your ground and fight for the things you believe in. And that's why there are so many young people who admire the professor. Of course, we're not saying that the man doesn't falter. He has said some things in recent years that have been highly controversial and, well, downright embarrassing. But overall, his teachings send a powerful and positive message to all kinds of people, and he speaks with clarity. Another thing that makes Peterson super popular with his audience is the fact that he speaks very clearly. By this, we mean that the man exudes confidence. He doesn't get aggressive or disrespectful. But if there's one thing that he does, it's listen to the person he's conversing with before giving them his own answers. And that's something people love and admire about the man. To be able to patiently listen to the other person and not interrupt them is something that invites healthy debates. And we're all for it, honestly. The reason why we all tune into our favorite podcast hosts and motivational speakers is because we're drawn to their confidence. We love the way they speak, and that's exactly what Jordan's audience loves about him as well. The man knows how to convey his message with sheer eloquence, and we wish we could do the same. That appeals to the majority of his audiences who need a source of motivation and drive to take the first step to get better. Also, he's more than just a fatherly figure. To call Jordan Peterson a fatherly figure would be weird, but that's exactly what he is to his younger audience. Although he has followers from almost every age group, the ones who listen to him the most are men in their late teens and early 20s. And that makes sense, because that's the time you're most confused. You don't know which direction you're headed towards in life. You're aimless, and you believe life is meaningless. Peterson has provided help to thousands of people around the world who have been able to turn their lives around thanks to his lectures. And yes, that does sound cliched, we know, but as a clinical psychologist, he has managed to treat and help hundreds, if not thousands, of people. But more than that, his lectures and notes have a deeper meaning than the self-help books of today have to offer. What Peterson offers that Ferris, Robbins, and the like lack is profound wisdom, something that's rarer than just about anything these days. Today's psychology books are filled with scientific facts and anecdotes, but no real wisdom. Even if you disagree with Jordan, you'll still be able to see the rare wisdom he offers, political views aside. What also makes him popular is the topics he chooses to speak on, and his courage to speak the truth when it seems like no one else is willing to. Many of the truths that he speaks are things we all know, but simply had never heard an intellectual acknowledge before, or had never really formulated in our minds. So what we're trying to say is that he doesn't minimize the struggles his audiences go through. He simply asks them, these things exist, but what are you going to do about it? Also, he's an open book. One thing that makes Peterson stand out is that, unlike a lot of motivational speakers and psychologists, he talks about issues he himself has dealt with, and that's something that's not very common. Because his messages resonate with his audiences, he's able to form a deep connection with them. It's not just talking about really basic issues like having a bad friend or failing college. He talks about what makes us human. He touches upon topics that are taboo, but also extremely necessary. He offers insight into deep, dark, and profound suffering. This is something else that modern psychology only speaks of in clinic terms typically. Anyone that has been deep in the abyss of life where ending one's life seems like the rational and obvious solution has felt that there's something much deeper going on than what contemporary science tells us. Anyone who has had the evils of men torment their souls knows that the abyss feels much more than a neurochemical imbalance. This place is where Jung lives, breathes, and seems to have a better grasp on than the current psychology. And this is a place where Peterson has no peers in today's world of public intellectuals. But it seems like he has made peace with it and instead focuses on what really matters to him. Sorry for getting too philosophical there. And finally, he doesn't pretend to be perfect. If there's one thing Jordan's followers adore about him, it's the fact that he doesn't market himself or pretend to be someone he's not. The prof offers incredible and real insights into what makes us humans, and his controversies are also things his followers learn from. Don't get us wrong, we're in no way endorsing it, but he doesn't go to extremes to cover up his wrongs. In the past, he has owned up to his mistakes and learned valuable lessons from them. And honestly, that's probably what makes the man super real. He deals with his inner demons and raw emotions like any other individual. If there's one thing he's not, it's a people pleaser. And another thing that makes him highly popular is that he's harsh with himself. His critics say that he's only harsh with others, but that's not true. If there's one thing that we can learn from Peterson, it's taking responsibility for our own well-being. He's been pretty open about his own depression, and a couple of years ago, he even had to go to rehab in Russia because he started abusing prescription drugs. That's not something you'd expect from a psychologist. But one thing that his followers admire is that he didn't hide this from them. In fact, his own daughter, Michaela, was updating everyone about her father's condition. This, equipped with a few other problems, did plummet his popularity and led to his downfall on social media. But devoted fans saw this as an opportunity to learn something from. After all, even if he is an intellectual, we can't forget the fact that the man is, well, a human being. And as people, we all fail and falter. All we can do is wish him the best of luck and hope he makes a full recovery. That's a wrap. What do you think about Jordan Peterson? What do you love most about him? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for similar videos. See you in the next one.